Hello and welcome to Ideaport Riga webinar, Generative AI, the next phase in Siebel UX improvement. I'm Juris, a CRM UX strategist, and like many of you, I'm very excited about the opportunities Generative AI brings us. ChatGPT made a loud entry at the end of last year, and the AI topic became trendy again. This time, AI is more accessible to general public, not just machine learning engineers. And now, as we all start to comprehend its impact on us, our feelings are well mixed. As a Siebel integrator, our company focuses on Siebel UX improvements. We have done several projects during last few years, and we see the following picture every time we speak with the client. They all try to maximize investment from their Siebel CRM. Functionality-wise, they have all that business users require. However, there are problems with user adoption or engagement. Given a choice, users tend to keep their work in Siebel to a minimum. And if they have to use system daily, like people working in the call center environment, they are rarely satisfied with Siebel CRM. There are four root causes of poor user adoption. First, the system is configured in a way that makes it complex to use. There are a lot of features, as I mentioned before, there is no lack of functionality, but completing a task takes too many clicks, navigation is not intuitive, a number of fields is overwhelming. The second major blocker is insufficient training of users. Typically, the training happens in the following way. There is an implementation team which shares information on new functionality with the super users, and then it is up to super users to train the end users. Such an approach makes sense, but in reality, it rarely works. Next is Siebel performance. As a part of user research, we run a lot of usability tests, and we ask users how satisfying they find doing a particular task. If while doing this task, Siebel is slow, freezes, displays many technical error messages, user satisfaction is ruined. Finally, users report a lack of perceived value from CRM, especially with sales roles. They see the system more like a tax rather than something that brings them dividends. In this series of Siebel UX webinars, we're addressing these four blockers. One blocker, one webinar. Stay tuned for the updates to the next webinar, and the great news is that generative AI can help us in all four cases. Today, we are focusing on tackling the complexity issue, which is the main topic of Siebel UX improvement projects. While the look and feel aspect of the Siebel UX is important, we have found out that for the enterprise customers, the only thing we have to give to the users is the ability to perform tasks quickly and easily. Google defines it as a task success. As Siebel professionals, we've been working on this problem, making tasks quickly and easier for a long time, for almost forever. We have started with different automations and making integration between the Siebel system and other systems so that users wouldn't need to do the double data entry or switch from one system UI to another. At Ideaport Riga, we are more specializing in the second circle, UI redesign. So we try to answer such questions as how to simplify the UI, how do we reduce the number of steps in a particular user flow, how do we make UI more intuitive as new users are coming to the system, how we can show information based on a particular task user is doing, or maybe record status, instead of overwhelming users with all the fields that we have available in Siebel. Good news is that generative AI gives us a massive boost in Siebel user experience redesign. So we can take automation to the next level and streamline the user flows in a way we couldn't do before. And without going further into theoretical discussion, let's just jump right into the demo. This is how we like it at Ideaport Riga, the live demo. While in this demo, we'll focus on inbound email processing, generative AI can help us to reimagine and redesign other scenarios, sales, a back office, or call center. So it's a demo time. In this demo, we have a scenario that we are a cable TV provider or streaming provider working in the UK. And we have a bunch of customers, local ones. And I'm using Siebel CRM as a part of my daily activity. So here I see Yelena asking for invoice because she didn't receive one. And okay, I'm going to help her extend her Siebel UI. So we have overview of the activities. I'm going to check if she has some kind of subscription. Yes, she does. There are some invoices. Okay, and maybe I'm going to email the invoice information to her as well. I will select the templates. Okay, fine, it's picked up. So here I would need to fill the email address, little misconfiguration item, but we can make it so that it's automatically populated. And then I'm sending the email and I'm done. But again, to click around and explore things, it will take some time because usually the cases are not that easy. And what is happening now actually is that our company joins this generative AI trend. So it's not only about IT, but also the entertainment. And we have teamed up with one company who will produce a version of the Crown series, but this time it's going to be generative one. Okay, the idea is that you as a subscriber can give your ideas how the story can develop, and then the systems are going to generate this new series according to your special twist. But of course, we will bring a lot of surprises there so that you don't know the ending and how the story will actually go. Also, we are improving our IT systems. We have implemented a little application which helps me to process emails. So and now instead of going around and checking different tabs in Siebel, I can simply analyze the email coming in. I'm launching this AI agents for me. So it has identified that the customer is Yelena. Her tone of voice is negative for some reason because she's very disappointed that she didn't receive. Okay, makes sense. The SR type would be billing. The English, of course, it's the only language we support now. And then because this was just like a query API, so that's what system understood. We did a call and received this invoice data. And then we see that email automatically generated. And it's not just based on the template, here's your invoice data, go on. So here, because sentiment was negative, we sympathized with Yelena that she didn't receive her information. Okay, the amount seems to be the one that service returned to us. Maybe I don't need the time here. And then again, we apologize because it's definitely not a good idea. Then we're not sending invoices on time, but hope everything is going to be good. Basically, I'm done with this email. I can close SAR, just send the email. But in this case, that's it. And then I learned that there's this crown thing is going on. And it seems that I'm starting to receive emails about it as well. And I usually can't find such an information in Siebel, so I have to go and search on our internal portal. And in this scenario, what is happening that's, okay, it's identified who is a customer, what it's all about, sentiment is neutral, customer is inquiring about availability, so it did a summary for me. And then it restated the question so that we can search our knowledge base. So is the TV series Crown available on your TV service? And then we have looked up our internal database. So it came up with answers that Crown is becoming available, which is a good news to me as well. And then maybe I'm not so sure about it, but I can go and double check it if it's really there. So the links will take me to one of the knowledge bases. And yeah, here it is that yes, it's coming. It's not available now, but it will become available on January 1st, which is a great news. And if I go back to my Siebel, then here is an email automatically generated restating what customer wanted us to do and the answer we have received from our knowledge base. I don't like this kind of regret part, so I will delete it. So there is nothing to regret about. It's coming literally in 3 months. And then I can close this ticket and send outbound email. Okay, so should I do it? Yeah, maybe not now. Okay, so what is going to happen if we fast forward a little bit? Actually, the date is already here, so it's January. So I go to my knowledge article because I'm super user also there. And I will remove this part saying that we are still waiting and it's already available. Great news. So I save the changes. So here we have a little admin UI for us, which is helping us to manage all these different knowledge base collections. So we refreshed it. Usually in the real life, it would happen automatically somewhere in the background. And let's see what has changed. So if I go ahead and analyze this email again, I see that, yes, it's still the same. And voila, it says that, hey, it's actually already available on our TV channel now. So basically, a minute ago, we saw that the automatically generated answers informed us that the generative crown offering will start on January 1st. And now we see that it's actually there and everyone can enjoy it. So this is how we can update the knowledge base and bring it into the UI of the customer service representative without them double checking the information or getting notifications over the email that thing has changed. So if it's changed, I will know it and my AI tool will help me to do. All right, what's next? As the series started, so we're getting a lot of other requests. So someone has tried to register with our service. It's a bit lousy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So somehow Roman got really confused. Did he got registered correctly or not? And yeah, since it's, again, a retrieval API, so we automatically got this data from Siebel. So yes, his subscription running. And then we automatically generated this nice email to him. So we can go ahead and close this email. So, and this ticket as well. So basically, it did also the summary. So Roman Zhuk reached out to us if his registration was successful. Michael Sparrow, it's me, I'm Michael Sparrow, replied that status is on, and thanks for choosing the app. And again, if I look at the service request, I see that, yes, this was my service request. So the subscription management was the type, sentiment is here, summary is here, and basically for the records, my case is created and closed. And if I go and see what kind of email correspondence we had, then yes, this is like outbound email, and this is the original email we have received from Romans. Okay, this is nice. Next, Martin, she's looking for some kind of manual on our app. So then again, we go into this automated scenario. In this case, we're not querying Siebel CRM, but we are going and checking our knowledge base. Yeah, the summary was that customers requesting manual. Actually, here I can see original email as well, which is very convenient. I don't need to go and scroll into Siebel. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so he's looking for the manual, and the question would be, can you provide me manual? And the answer we have picked up from our knowledge base is that, yeah, it's that we have this manual, and this is a link to it. So just to double check, yeah, it has some cool overview and also about the features of our app and also the link to it. Okay, so basically it didn't send this article, even though we could, but it extracted the information which was relevant to Martin's question, and now we have it. Next one, what happens is that it's all going on, it's working fine, and some people are asking about the options, what to do with their service because they are moving abroad. And yeah, let's go ahead and do the same. Okay, this time it's Artyom. He's informing us that he's moving abroad and he wants to know what are the options for his subscriptions. And again, from the knowledge base, we have generated these 3 different options. Keep existing one, cancel and restore when you're coming back, or change to the less costly plan. And we added all these options to automatically generated email and prepared the summary and can send it to the user right away. And then guess what? This generative crown thing is getting really hot. And we start to understand that also people from other countries are willing to get access to it, which is, of course, very exciting. We're always willing to expand our customer base. But hey, I'm starting to get questions in the language I don't really understand, and I have no clue what it is all about. So what do we need to do? So should we create some kind of service center fluent with the Arabic language or with the Finnish language or Swedish language? And uno problema. Okay, that's too many languages. I'm really lost. But let's start with this one. So let's go ahead and analyze this email. So maybe we will start to understand things. Okay, what happened now is that it actually picked up the language. So yes, it's Arabic. It did a summary for me, like what user wants us to do. we have received a translation as well. Okay, so this is what user is saying in this email, and this is what we're saying in English. Okay, based on that, we still are able to extract the question that we want to answer. Yes, Crown is available, as we all know. And then it also provides outbound email. I want to check English version. Yeah, it looks like it's, I cannot really judge, but this is what I would say in English about our service. So we can, again, generate outbound email and close this SR. Okay, even though this correspondence is happening in Arabic, as a company, we need to keep the summary in English. So we generate the summary in English here. But then if we go to this particular service request, then as you can see that it is outbound in Arabic and also the original email in Arabic. We can do some other stuff as well. Somebody probably in Finnish is looking for something. I don't understand what. So let's go analyze email. Okay, yeah, again, we see that there's a lot of the requests about the manual and how to use our app. But okay, we've got it covered. But another kind of cool thing we can do is that whenever I change to one tab and I remove some of the sentence, because why would I introduce it like twice here, and go back to the language of the customer? So this email is also translated on the fly. And maybe it's too short of the intro, but this is how Finnish people speak. We can go on like that, and definitely it's going to work the same way if we need to request some data from Siebel CRM. But again, it was a huge success, and a lot of people liked it, but competition moves on. So what we have started to receive is this subscription cancellation requests. And we didn't automate it before because it's such a rare case. But now, as we see a lot of customers going, we see that we're not able to pick it up automatically. So, and it says that the skill required for processing of user inquiry is not found. So we are stuck. So Artyom, what do we do in this situation? Okay, maybe you can explain how we can go around this issue, because I wouldn't want to send these emails once again manually.
Yes, I will share my screen and show you what do we do in this case. Okay, so we have an administrative screen here where we manage the skills. So let's say the scenarios that our AI agent can process. And currently we have several defined, but if we want to define a new skill to be supported by the agent, we can just add a new one here. So we need to fill some fields to show how it looks in the agent screen and how the steps will be processed. So we need to give it some details here. We'll provide a description so the AI can identify the scenario when it's searching for the correct skill. We'll hard code the source system, tell what area this skill comes from, and then the operation. So basically, there are two types of operations. Juris previously showed only query operations, but the command, the difference will be only that it will ask for a confirmation of the user whether he wants to process with changing, updating the data, just to be safe. Then we have a confirmation step, and on this confirmation step, we want to ask a user if this is the subscription he wants to cancel, and we have some kind of like a confirmation header defined here, and also the template. So the template just allows us to display the data that has been extracted by the agent in the way that is understandable by the user. The action fields are responsible for executing the action. We have some predefined API, for example, for updating the agreement.
This is what we would get from Siebel developers, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, okay.
And what we output as a result of executing these actions. So like for now, it's just the text that it has been canceled. So we save it now, the new skill is added. So now we can try to run the cancellation scenario again. Yeah, so now we see that we have this confirmation step. It doesn't continue until we click confirm because we choose the operation type command. And also this is the, let's say, the configuration of the step we have put into the confirmation step. So the header and the template has extracted the data and displayed it to the user. So we confirm, And the action of the confirmation has been placed here. And also the outbound email generated considering the response action.
Very good. So it seems working. So you added this new skill more or less on the fly to the system, right? And again, of course, we needed to have the Siebel API, which helps us to do certain action or certain task for the agent. And we were able to edit declaratively through the UI. Okay, this concludes probably most exciting part. This is what makes us super, well, actually amazed. What are the possibilities and how far we can take efficiency of the users with this sort of a solution. But definitely you all came here also to understand what is going on in the background and how this solution works. I will start sharing again. We start with all we know. Obviously, it is ChatGPT, which made a lot of noise, and then suddenly everyone started to talk about generative AI and GPTs and stuff like that. Some of the companies are building their own ChatGPT solutions. It's a bit not precisely correct from technical point of view, and this is what we're going to explain. ChatGPT is a product of OpenAI, where you can do your prompts. They have chat-like UI. Then they've got a pretty powerful backend which handles your queries, and somewhere at the core, they have their large language models. And there are several large language models. And in fact, not all of them are language models. They are also doing image to text. So they are technically large multimodal models, which is a bit hard to pronounce. So everyone is calling them LLMs. And this backend is taking care of how they handle your responses, the tone of voice, what you're allowed to ask, what you're not allowed to ask. So they try to get rid of all these biases, aggressions, and all the bad things. Everybody was really disappointed with ChatGPT when it came out. If you want to build your own app, obviously you cannot reuse ChatGPT because it's not available to anyone except of OpenAI, right? However, you can get the model from provider. And what I mean here is that you can get LLM access from OpenAI, but you can also get it from Azure, which is an alternative provider of OpenAI models. They actually also do a little bit of safety around the model itself. So let's say we had some examples when we were asking it questions, and then Azure was saying to us, hey, this is offensive, and with blocks request. So they do create their own layer of trust and safety, but effectively we have completion API we can work with. And then you have your own front end, you have your own backend where you are taking user prompts, tweaking them, maybe chaining them together like we do in our example, and then you're calling completion API somewhere in the background. To demonstrate to you how it works, let's go to the playground itself. I will choose one of the models here. And for example, I can do a prompt. Say, today we are going to. And to make it a bit more kind of explanatory to use, I am selecting the option of showing full spectrum of the generation flow. If I click submit, what it does, it completes my sentence, okay? There are different chunks. They would be called tokens. And here you can see that what was the probability for the next token based on the previous sequence. So it could have started with, we're going to talk or to learn or to make. It started with int. And then after int, it had some other options. Introduce was pretty good one, so it's selected. And then in that way, it just keeps generating different tokens, okay? So because this is a model which effectively doing completion of what you were saying. So one of the parameters you are playing is here is temperature. So if you put it like to something very creative, it will take very unlikely choices for the next token, and we run the same. So here you can see that it's going totally crazy, okay? Again, if I put it back to normal, it will start behaving or doing more common sense case. But also what is interesting is that it understands what we have written before. So if, let's say, I say, hi, mom. Okay, taking mom to the zoo is exciting, but maybe it's more for the kids. Okay, what about class? If I say, okay, hi, class. Today we're going to, okay, learn, which makes more sense because we are in the class setup. When I was asking about availability of the crown, this was the question we wanted to answer. And if I go to playground and answer this question for me, okay, now you see that it's not behaving awkward. It says I'm an AI. I don't have access to your personal information about different offerings, and that's it. So basically the question is really, if we go back to our schema here, how do we feed our data into this flow? And this process is called retrieval augmented generation. So the idea is the following. You build your code, which is taking your data, and then it is calling embedding API of the large language model. It is the API which takes a text or image and turns it into sequence of numbers called vector, which represents semantical meaning or the ideas which are in this particular text. Once we have received this vector back, we store it in the vector store, maybe together with some of the metadata. And then what happens if a user from your front end is asking, is Crown available on our platform? First thing we do is we convert this question into a vector again using embedding API. At the next step, we are doing similarity search to this vector database. So find the closest record which semantically is talking about the same topic. And then once we are receiving this answer, so we are doing completion API. So it could look something like this. Again, if I do this little Q&A here, it gives me the answer. And this is a text.
Needed, then we write the following prompt.
Use the information below. Okay, if I submit this prompt now, it's able to give me the answer which is grounded in the data that we have embedded into our vector store. And this time it does know that Crown is available on our TV series platform. And this is what we actually wanted it to do. So this was about the embedding part. One webinar participant asked about the technical stack we're using. Currently, we use Azure OpenAI as a service provider. LLMs are coming from OpenAI, so we have two models, one ADA 02 for embeddings and Turbo GPT 3.5 for completion API. We're using an open source self-hosted Chroma vector store, which is very efficient regarding the resources it needs to run. Chroma is not as needy as some other products we have tried before. It performs really well and is pretty stable. Then for observability, we use Azure Application Insight, the front as UGS and the back as Python. We also rely on LangChain, an open source framework, very popular when it comes to building different LLM-powered applications. And it makes it a lot easier to work with different LLMs, to do the embedding and work with text, etc. Okay, and if we talk about an OCI-centered solution, in that case, we would use Generative AI service announced during the cloud world. Now companies can sign up for the beta version of it and run the tests. Generative AI utilizes Cohere LLM under the hood. Cohere is a pretty powerful model, and like many other, especially open source providers, it has embedding API, which is critical for the scenarios when we want our system to respond to the internal data of our company. Also, Cohere focuses on making these models more efficient, which is excellent. By the way, have you heard that Microsoft is considering building a nuclear power station to power its data centers? Looks like they do expect a lot of AI loads coming in, don't they? Okay, for the vector store, we would use Oracle 23c. It is available on CI, but not on the Azure. And if I would have one wish to make to the Siebel engineering team, it would be to enable Siebel to work on the Oracle 23c database. One reason is that in Oracle 23c database, a database table, in addition to regular data type columns, can have a new vector type column to store the embedding. This is very handy when you, for example, have a service request record in Siebel and you want to find semantically similar service requests based, for example, on service request description. To support such a use case now, every time a service request record changes in Siebel, you would need to push out its ID and description, embed them, and write into a separate vector store. Then to find similar service requests, you would need to embed description of the field of the particular SR records, do the similarity search, fetch the IDs from the vector store, and feed all these IDs back to Siebel and do the query. So it's pretty cumbersome process. Oracle 23c database significantly simplifies such solution by removing the necessity of sending all the SR data to external vector store. So both structured and vector embeddings are stored in the same database table, making it very easily to find semantically similar records. Okay, the observability, of course, Oracle has its own observability platform. You would want to use it, of course, if you are on OCI. And then the choice of the front end and back end technology wouldn't really change. All right, next, let's touch on LLM-powered solution deployment principle. So first and foremost, the architecture is new to most of the companies. Therefore, we need to understand the different components of such architecture and how the different components work together and how we can work with them. We need to have a good understanding of the security. Does LLM provider store our data? Is it using our data to train its model, as some CRM vendors claim from the Dreamforce stage? That's not true, of course, but we better get these answers directly from LLM provider. We must clearly understand how LLM-powered application work in order to pass security or architectural review in our company. Okay, second principle is that unlike we're used to in CRM world where the customer comes first, in this case, employees should be the first to use such systems. I suggest that you are careful with exposing this technology directly to the end customers. Instead, try to master it first with internal users. Some companies act even smarter. They start by enabling internal help desks. So first, the help desk employees get this technology to support other company employees. Then they gradually roll this technology out as a chatbot or any other self-service application to their employees and see how it performs. And finally, when confident the technology works fine, they deploy it to support end customer-facing processes. Next are quick wins. So while generative AI can improve the work of many departments, we need to identify the use cases with most significant business impact, which are relatively easy and safe to implement from technical point of view. We will explore this topic in more detail on the following slide. Okay, now the co-pilot mindset. Do you remember that people have mixed feelings about ChatGPT and AI in general? So gaining users' trust in technology is very critical. They won't use it otherwise. In our demo, you saw that the AI agent is very transparent about what it's doing, and it goes back to the user for action confirmations. I believe that users should feel that they stay in control and the final word is always theirs. They can confirm action or not, they can modify the email or send it the way it is right away. Another reason for such a co-pilot mindset is that the Gen AI technology won't solve all the cases perfectly initially. please plan for gradual improvements. Be realistic and expect 30% of the correct output as you start using these tools. Then improve it, get the correct output percentage to 50%, to 70, to 85, to 95. And this is where the observability solutions come into the picture. So you need to understand the actual usage of these tools, measure the quality of the outcome, and the observability is the right tool for you here. All right, so let's come back to the use case identification. Obviously, one way to come up with the list is brainstorming. So we are all used to that. We know how to do it. However, we might want to try a more structured approach. So essential question is how LLMs change the way we build IT systems. Before LLM, we would need structured data to drive the application business logic, different integration flows, reporting, and analytics. Free text fields and varchar 2000 data types in Siebel are useless, not to mention emails, web pages, or documents. If we want some logic based on the information available in natural language, we would need someone to enter it into our structure fields. And with LLMs, it's not anymore the case. LLMs can turn unstructured information into the structured information, and vice versa. It can generate natural language from the structured data. You saw it all in our demo. To find the great use cases, you need to search for the places in your organization where natural language processing takes place on the large scale. In this webinar, we all come from the CX field, so we could use service design as a starting point. Service design blueprint or diagrams are valuable because they capture end-to-end user journey, applications and the company units, customer interact at every touch point. Then they also cover the backstage and support processes. So effectively, go ahead and mark the boxes in the service design blueprint where large volume NLP happens and evaluate the high level impact which could be delivered by LLM powered applications. So next, it is time to zoom in into one of the boxes and run a little user research. So show and tell sessions where we sit together with the users, observe them doing their tasks, ask questions about these tasks, is the best research method in this case. Unlike in Siebel UI redesign exercise, this time we should pay special attention to activities going on outside of the Siebel UI. What pages, documents, knowledge bases do our colleagues use to get their job done? Highlight again the NLP or natural language processing activities in the user journey map. Note down the numbers on activity count and time it takes to complete them. Then we can implement a small POC for each use case to understand the technical feasibility of the solution. So start with preparing a sample set of text you will be processing and determining different variations in this set and what kind of output quality we can generate with the help of LLM prompts. For example, for inbound messages processing, you could use LLM prompts to come up with the types of API you would need to process the emails. And then we would need to check if these APIs are already available. Then we would repeat the same, but this time we would be extracting the type of questions you would handle with the help of knowledge base or the website. And finally, we could simulate API responses and the knowledge base answers and evaluate the quality of the outbound emails. Running such a POC would help you to assess both the cost and the output quality, at least to get like a range or something. Okay, we have reached the last slide of today's webinar. How we at Ideaport Riga can help you with generative AI Siebel UX journey. First, as a part of business development, we are happy to support you in getting through the security and architectural review. Again, such a setup is pretty new for the companies, and during the last 9 months, we've been investigating how the solutions are working. Perhaps you can find our help valuable. The second option is running workshops tailored to your company's situation and objectives. In these workshops, together with you, we would formulate the vision of how we can improve Siebel UX with the help of generative AI. And the final two options are fixed price, 2-week-long mini projects, doing user research and technical POCs, pretty much in the format as we discussed in the slide above. As a result of these projects, we would clearly understand what user tasks we can make more efficient, what business impact would be there, how Agents UI would work, and what technical efforts would be required to implement solution. Please feel free to contact me if you want to discuss these 4 options further. And with that, maybe I stop sharing. So if you have any questions, let's maybe have a little discussion here.
So yeah, we have a question.
Any challenges you faced integrating Siebel with this foundational model API? So the way how our solution is built is that we are using Nexus Bridge, which is a technology we use in our Siebel UX improvement projects, which gives us access to the data available in applets. So if we go to different records, we already know what is the activity ID. And then if we want to get more information, we're just calling Siebel service to get it. Integration with this LLM providers with the APIs is pretty straightforward. Of course, you have to figure out all the security questions, right? It's not a big deal to call OpenAI API or Cohere public API. You just need to get the keys and stuff. But obviously, that's not the way how you do things in the enterprise, right? So the security review should be there. If you are using OpenAI or Cohere public services, then you have to figure out how you securely get there and get the data back. And of course, if you are using OCI generative AI generative service, then technically data doesn't leave your tenant, right? Which is also one of the big benefits of OCI. Thanks for a question, Dinesh. Anyone else? Maybe. Okay, if not, then we will be wrapping up. So this session was recorded. Everyone who has registered and attended, I will send the link. It will take me maybe a couple of days to process it. And again, if you have any further questions, let's get in touch. And we are very enthusiastic about this topic. I think it can change a lot how we improve user experience and adoption and effectively ROI from our Siebel implementations. Yeah, and then again, those who signed up for this webinar and joined, I hope I have your emails. Then I will send you the invite to another one where we will address the question of how we can use generative AI to make user training really cool on demand based on the user intent. Okay, I have like a few more questions. Agnes, do you have detailed requirements regarding the type of API you need to access Siebel? REST API is fine, Agnes. REST API works for everything. And yeah, and we could use like business services as well, but since a lot of the stuff is happening on the backend, which can be deployed also on the Siebel server, then REST is perfectly fine with us. And we don't want to keep it also very specific to Siebel. So REST is a language everyone speaks nowadays. And thanks for your question, Agnes. Okay, attendance is going down, but people are still hanging on. Maybe they have a question they want to ask and are a bit shy, so please don't. And yeah, but if not, you can always reach out to me on the email. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you later. With that, we conclude this session. Thank you and bye-bye.